What's up guys, it's your boy Carbell and welcome back to my channel. Okay guys, in today's video we're going to be coding all the HTML needed for this website, like as you've already seen in the introductory video and then the video before this where we prepared everything we need to get started. So in the previous video we talked about our text editor and all the extensions we're going to need to be able to work fluently, and today's video we're just going to code all the HTML from the desktop view all the way to the mobile view. And guys, without much ado, let's just jump right into the video. Okay guys, if it's the first time you are meeting, my name is Carbell, and on this channel is basically front end, back end, whatever end there is. All you have to do is that this channel gives you all the innovative videos you need in order to get your web projects looking as amazing as possible. So if you're interested in learning and leveling up your front end skills, consider hitting the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell button, because I release good videos like this and every Wednesday and you don't want to miss out on it. So without much ado guys, let's just jump right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be coding both the response, the desktop and the mobile view. Actually is all the same, and we already have our extension from the previous video, live server. If you don't have it, get it done. And I'm going to click so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the shift and then 1, or you can just hit the exclamation mark, and then it gives you the data. Press enter just to give you a hot boilerplate of HTML. You could actually write this by yourself, but you have to work with time, and then you have to have. So I'm going to, for the title, I'm going to say home page, and then let me just say hello there. Save it, and when I click go live here, you can also hit Alt L and O to get it. And as you can see the hello there in the browser. So whenever I save anything here, it automatically refreshes in the browser. It's cool, right? I know. Okay guys, so then let's go straight into it and let's try to get something done here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a code for the navbar. If I should make it full screen, as you can see the navbar is here. We have the navbar with the logo and then the nav links on here. So let me go back to my code, Visual Studio Code. Yeah, so let me make it full screen because we're going to need full screen here in this instance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have nav. Okay, you could use div or you could use anything, but this is CSS. This is HTML5 syntax. I'll just say nav. Close it, automatically gives me my closing end, and I'm going to give it a class of navbar, and then in there let's look at the main one. We have the logo on one side and then this one on another side. So I'm going to use an ordered list for this, and I'm going to use an anchor tag for this one because this goes. Then let's come down here. So I'm going to have my anchor tag, that's the A. I'm actually using shortcuts. I should not use shortcuts. So my anchor tag, and I'm going to give it an href of probably homepage. Don't just put a // or you could just type index.html, and let me close that. Automatically gives my closing one. And then in my anchor tag, I'm going to have an image, that's the logo there. So I'm going to say img, and then the src attribute here is going to be to, if I go to asset, that's the source where we can find it. So the logo dot what png, you're trying to link it to the what logo. If I should save that and open up in the browser, let me go to the main one here. You can see the logo is already. If I should do this, you can see that the logo is what appearing, just like the logo here. All right, it's looking ugly. HTML with that CSS is very ugly. So let's go straight to it. Now the next I'm going to for the nav links. So let me leave, and I'm going to say I'm going to use an unordered list. All right, so ul, and I'm going to give it a class of nav list for this one. All right, and then in there I'm going to have an li, that's a list item. Press this, and then in the list item I'm going to call it a class. I'm going to give a class of nav item. All right, and the nav item I'm going to have the anchor tag, that's the links to the various pages, and then in there I'm going to have one. I'm going to say an a, okay, anchor tag, and then an href of actually going nowhere, so pound sign like this, and then let me close it. and let me add a class of nav link. This is a link, okay, and then for the first one I'm going to have home. Let me save that and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we go to this. If I come here, as you can see, it's already even showing. Okay, you can see a dot. That's what the ordered list that we actually using. Let me come back and then, oh, okay, that was the reason why it wasn't showing. I typed the home in here, so let me type the home this way and let me save. And I save it. Alright, so that's the first one, a home. You can see the underline is a link. We've not actually showed it where it's actually moving to. Let's go back to our code. Now I'm going to copy all this one here because I'm going to copy it and I hold Alt, Shift and down this to get 4 times, or you can just do Ctrl C, Ctrl V, that's copy and paste it 4 times. And the second one is going to be about us, and the next one is also going to be subscribe, and finally I'm going to have contact. All right, let me save it and let's look at our HTML. I want you to see how everything is actually. So it's actually all we need for the navbar. But wait, that is not all. Now when we go to the mobile view, as you can see here, let me go to the very main one here. Automatically we get what this navbar thing here. Okay, what I just coded is great and it's nav if only I was doing for the desktop view, but we want to be more responsive, so we are considering this. Now when we come to the mobile view, some things have to be in place. Like just after here, let me make this a bit like so that you can see this one on the side. So just after the logo, I'm going to have an input, and the type of input is going to be checkbox, because we're going to use the checkbox hack. When I get to the CSS, I'm going to explain into details what this thing is all about, and I'm going to give it an ID of menu checkbox. Menu checkbox, or you can say now I want to use menu checkbox. All right, now when I save it, you won't see because I'm actually not on that page. And then after that, I'm going to give a label, and then this label, okay, I'm actually using shortcut. I don't want to use MS, so I'm going to say label. Okay, a label, and then the label I'm going to say for, what is it for? It's going to be for menu checkbox. Now whenever you have a label and then you set it for this one, it's going to whenever, okay, let me just put something like head, just here, head here, and save it. Let me go here. So you can see there's the label here, and there's the checkbox. If I click on them, okay, nothing is happening. Probably something is wrong. Yep, yeah, let's save it. Okay, as you can see, when I click on the label, is what? It's checking the checkbox. Okay, that's what the label does. The label is just like let me say a button. It's also like the link. When you click on this, it automatically checks or selects or focuses on the input here. So this the label for that. But I'm not going to have a head inside here because this is going to be our navigation button. So that when we click on it, I'll explain all that when we get to the CSS, guys. So let me just write. I'm going to have a div with a class of line, with a class of lines. I'm actually not used to typing code all this way. I just use MS and I'm gone. Alright, so now I'm going to have 4 of this, 3 of this. So Alt Shift down to copy it 3 times, then I save it. You probably won't see anything, it's somewhere around there, but you won't see because we've not applied any styles to the lines here. So I think maybe that will be all for the navigation bar. We are done for both this for smaller screens and for bigger screens. We have all the code we need in here in respect to it. Let me press Ctrl B so that I hide my sidebar. That way we can have access to more view here. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to style our landing. No, I won't say landing page. I'm going to call this one the banner or section hero. That's the main thing you see when you nav. When you come in, so I'm going to write a comment. You could hold Control and then / give me a comment, and I'm going to call, let me just put some so that it's visible, and I'm going to call this one section banner. That way when we are reading the code later, you could understand what you have there. So I'm going to give it, I'm going to use a div with a class of section home. Let me use banner because I just wrote banner, and then an ID of probably home. Now I'm going to explain to you. I'm adding an ID of what? Home very soon. An ID of home, and let me close that. Alright, so that's the whole div for the whole one, and I'm going to have another div to contain all whatever is in here. So I'm going to have another div again, and then on this division I'm going to have a class of, let me just say, container. Now not container, I'm going to have a class of home test. That's the test on the home page. I don't know whether it's cool with you, but it's okay here. Home test. So that's to contain everything here. That way we can use that to center this thing neatly here. And then in there I'm going to have an h1. I'm going to have a h1 here, and I'm going to give it a class of heading main. Close it neatly, and in there I'm going to have my lorem ipsum. You can use your own words. You have to use your own words. Lorem ipsum. This is just some dummy test. Everyone knows this dummy test. And I'm going to have my p tag for the test. I mean for the paragraph there. A p tag. I don't actually have any class, and I'm going to just copy whatever I have here. Control C, come in here. Control V. All right. Save that. Let's look at what we have in the home page, and then there's whatever we need for the home page. Not that we have the button here, so we are still in the div, and I'm going to have an anchor tag, so an A, okay, with a class of btn main. This is the main button, and then an href of probably going nowhere. So let me just use a pound sign. Let me use a pound sign. And let me just say order now. I don't know what we are ordering. Order now. Let's save it. So we are done all. We have all the HTML we need for the home page. It's quite simple, guys. Creating a website is no big deal once you have me on this. So let's go. The next one is the about page. Now realize that of all the pages we have what? This same heading for the beginning. All right. So what we are going to do is we are going to add one class for that thing, and then you're going to start that class, so that whenever we use that class, you're just going to apply for all. It's good to have your code and have reusable those components. So I'm done with section home. As you come here and control /, then I'll just have my equal to here and just say section about, just so I can read my code later when I come back like 5 years time. So I'm going to have a div with a class of section about. All right, and then I'm going to have one thing. I'm going to have a new div called container. I'm going to explain to you what a new div with a class of container. Now look at something. Whenever we come on full screen, realize that none of the elements get bigger than this. You can look at it like as if they are all aligned neatly somewhere. Okay, no one gets past a certain limit because the container we have in there. The container is just going to use to keep the element in the middle. That way they don't over go their boundaries. If I come to the smaller screen here, realize that all of them are neatly aligned. There's some little padding around them. That's because of the container we are going to be using. Okay, guys. So I'm going to use a class of container. I'll explain that when you are doing the CSS more. You really get to understand what the container is actually used for in there. Now what I'm going to have next is my heading. I'm going to have my h2 here with a class of secondary heading here. And then I'm going to say about us. All right, let's end. And then for the image, this is going to be in. I'm going to use CSS, public grid, or Flexbox. I think I'll use Flexbox in here or grid, whichever one. works. All right, that way I'm going to have a container, a wrapper around these two things, so that when we're on the bigger screen, we tell the wrapper to make it display side by side, and when you're on the smaller screen, the wrapper is going to make it display stacked on each other like this, one on top of the other. So I'm going to have a container here, so a div with a class of about container. I could use wrapper, whichever one works for you. I'm going to use container in here, and then I'm going to have the image. So the first one is the image. I'm going to use the img, and then with a source, that's where you can locate whatever picture. So assets, thank you VS. When I just type assets in the forward slash, it automatically gives me what we have, what about img, one of the images that we talked about already. And let me close that, and then alt. The alt one is in case the picture does not show those screen for the screen readers. Let me just say about image. All right, so that's for the first one, and the second one is going to be for the test. And in the test, I'm just going to have a div with a class of about test, and then in there I'm going to have a paragraph. Let me copy all the dummy text from here. Guys, we can when you're done with the site, you can have it. It's yours. That's what the channel is made for. Control V, paste it. I actually want to. Wow. Yep. Cool. Yep. There's a lot of text. All right. And then down there, I'm going to have, that's after my P, right? I'm going to have my anchor tag. My anchor tag with the href of actually going where, so we just put a pound sign in there, and a class of btn secondary. We have the main one, it's probably the secondary one. Close my tags off, and I'm going to say read more. Save it. Let's look at what we have so far. Yep, this is the picture. As you can see, the picture is already big here, and we have what the button read more here. So let's get the next one. That's probably what we offer. So that's a new section also. I don't want to copy it, so I just do control this one, control C, and then control V, and then section offer, and we're going to have a div with a class of section offer, and then an ID of offer. All right, so as usual, let's have our h2. I'll copy from here, control C, copy it here, bring it here, control V, then let's change the about us to what we offer. What we offer, save it. Nothing happening because we're on that page. And the next thing we're going to have is, as usual, we're going to have another container for all these items we have here. We're going to have what? Another container. Alright guys, another container for all this, so that whenever we're on a smaller screen, take the container to make it this way, and when we are on a bigger screen, take the container to make it stand side by side. Alright, so let's have that container built in here. I'm going to call this one, I'm going to give it a div with a class of offer container. I hope the names are cool with you. And then in there, now this is a offer container. In the container, we're going to have what? 3 cards. One card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3. So I'm going to have a div. I'm going to have a div with a class of card. And then in that card, we're going to have what? Our icon, and then our text. Simple as, it's very simple. Now the icons I'm going to use here is going to be font awesome icon. Let me get to tell you what font awesome is all about. So I just say font awesome. Font awesome icons. Oh, not CDN. I don't want the CDN. No. Font awesome icons. You click on the very first one. It's going to be the very first one. So this is the font awesome icons. Okay. As you can see, they have a lot of icons that you can use here, and then they are very easy to integrate into your project. So let me click on address book, and to use address book, all you have to do is you just have to come and copy this code that they have here. It's probably easy, or have an I tag with a class of what, FA, followed by FA, then the address book or whatever it is. So let me just copy all this code, Control C, and come to our text editor, Control V, and save it. And let me show you that something comes. Now, what we offer, nothing has appeared, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not all about this. You have to get what we call the CDN. So if I just come here and say font awesome CDN, you need this and that before you can be able to use font awesome. So you come to font awesome CDN. The CDN is just here. I just press Control C, copy everything, come to my and go to my head. Okay, and I'm going to link this there. So I'm going to say a link style sheet, and where is it going to? Control V, paste it in here and save it. This is how you add the font awesome CDN to you. And when I come back here, nothing is showing. I'm coming. Let's go back to the home page. Okay, so as you can see, the address book is already showing somewhere here, because what we just added was font awesome CDN, and that's the icons you are going to be using for this project. It's quite easy to use, and it's very easy to integrate in your work. So let's just come back here and let's continue from where we left off. So I'm going to have the I tag followed by my P tag, and that's the paragraph. Let me copy whatever I have here. So Control C and then Control V. Whoa, I didn't copy. Control C and then Control V. Yeah. So if I save that will be okay. Alright. So if I come to the very main thing here, you can see that's our first card. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this thing here. You can come to card, copy the whole card. Hold Alt, Shift, and down to copy it down 4 times. 1, 2, 3 times, because you're actually using 3. It's the same thing, same code in here, and let's save it. So the first one, I could just change the address book to probably, let me just say globe. Save it, and you can see the address book changed to a globe. Second one, I could just change that one to, maybe say, I don't know, let me just leave it there. Globe is okay, address book is probably also okay. And let's just go. Guys, you can go around and look for your own. Let me look at the main one, because that's what we want to create. Address book, and then we have ambulance. So let me just use the ambulance here. Ambulance, save it. And then we come here, we have the word ambulance. Ugly looking there. Alright, let's continue. Now the next thing we're going to have is the section newsletter. Alright, that's the next thing we have on our page, the newsletter here. So let's come here. As usual, I'm going to copy everything here. Control C. And Control V. And I'm going to say section newsletter. And I'm going to have a div with a class. It's a class of section newsletter and an ID of newsletter. Can I spell newsletter? Let's see if that nothing will actually happen. And then in there, as usual, we're going to have our container. So I'm going to say, well, I didn't press that. I don't know what happened. So I'm going to have a div. So a div, as usual, with a class of container in here, because we want everything under control. And then the container, now we can have our h2. So I just copy the h2 here, Control C, bring it here, Control V, and then what we offer now becomes join us now, because we are a big family. Join us now. Then I save that, and then after that I'm going to have my simple this one form here. Okay, that's the nice thing about this. So what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have my p tag, that's for the paragraph, and I'm going to copy all the text I have here just to make everything simple for us. So Control C and then Control V, just to make everything okay. I'll just hit the enter button here. And after the p tag, I'm going to have a little form. Yes, I'm not going a little form here. Yes, hit form, like, and the action actually going nowhere. So let's put a pound sign there. And then in the form, we're going to have only a few things. We're going to have our input, two input, one input here, one input here. So the first input is going to be, I'm going to say an input, and the type is email. That's an HTML5 syntax. So email is only for emails. Alright, if I just say this and send it, and it's telling me please include an @ because in every email you see that @ sign there. So that's the thing about the email. That's the thing that makes it different from the other one. So email, and I'm going to give it a class. Do I even need a class on that email? I don't need a class. What I need rather is a placeholder. Now you see the text in there, the email text. That's what we call the placeholder. So if I just say email address like this, it's going to be for that. And when I click here like this, it's going to tell me please fill out this form. And that's because of the new HTML5 syntax that you just called required. If I just say required here, it means that you can't submit the form if you have not it's actually required before you can submit the form. Now you just save that. Let's look at what we have on our main page here. So that's the email here, as you can see this and then let me come back here. Next I'm going to have another input, and the type is what we call submit. Let me save it, and then you see it automatically pops up here. But there's type is submit, and this is automatically it comes with a submit value in there. But if you want to use the value that's subscribe, not submit, so they're going to give it a value of subscribe. And let's save that. When we come back to our home page, you see the submit change to subscribe. Someone will say, why won't I use placeholder? Yes, placeholder is different because this is almost just like if I use value, let me show you here. If I use value of maybe help and save it, realize that the help comes in here. Even when I'm typing, the help doesn't work. So the help is already in there, and then that's not what we want. Okay, we want see nothing. Guys, if I should just refresh this page right now, the help automatically comes in there, and that's the difference between the placeholder and the value. So just Control Z, and let's save whatever we have. We want the placeholder, not the value. So probably we have all the HTML we need for just subscribe. But let's go to the one of the most a little bit confusing part. That's the section footer, or the footer that we are going to use here. So I'm going to give it a class of section contact. All right. So let's come here. I'll copy everything here. Control C. And then Control V, paste that, and I'm going to call this one section contact, and then let's come here. All right, so I'm going to have my div with a class of section contact, and then an ID of contact. I'll show you why I'm adding all the IDs very soon. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have our container as usual. We can't forget the container, so I'm going to just say a div with a class of container in there. That's the first thing. Then followed by, now we're going to have 3 boxes. Are you okay? But before the boxes, let's have our H2. Nope, let me just copy from here. Where is it? Control C, bring it here, Control V, and then let me just say let's get in touch. Let's get in touch, and let me save that. All right, so I'm going to have a new wrapper to wrap around all these 3 containers here. That's the form, the social media icons and everything here, and then this very first thing here. That way, whenever we are in a big view, we can make the wrapper make it display this way, and we get to a smaller view like this. Okay, that's the mobile view. The wrapper will make it stack one on top of each other. So I'm going to give a new div with a class of contact container. What am I doing? Class of what? Contact container. Alright, and then in here I'm going to have 3 separate divs. So I'm just going to create what? A div. I'm not going to give this one any class because none of them will receive any styling. So I just say div. Alright, this is the first div, and the first div is going to be for the links here, as well as the nice text which just describes the whole company, or just some, I don't know, you mostly see it in most websites, just some footer text alright there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a UL or an unordered list. So I'm going to say UL here with a class of contact nav. That's contact navigation. Close that one off, and I'm going to have my first LI in here, and then I'm going to have my anchor tag. Okay, with an href of probably going nowhere for now, and then a class of probably contact link. All right, save that, and I didn't write where it's going. I'm going to just say home. All right, guys. So let me just copy this one down 4 times. I'm going to have Alt, Shift, and down 1, 1, 1. So that's 4 times. The one is going to be what? About, and then followed by subscribe, and then followed by contact. We already have contact, so let's just save that. And next we are going to have, after our UL in the first div, is we're going to have what? A p tag. So let me just say a p tag here, and the p tag, let me just copy the dummy text we have here. We have this, Control C, and then we bring it here and just pause Control V. Let's edit them so that it gets on the page. Alright, now I save that. Actually, we have 2 paragraphs here, so I'll just another P again, and let's copy everything from here. Control C, Control V. This is a bit tiresome. I'm trying to make it this way. Save it. Now let's go back and look at what we have. So as you can see, we have almost everything down for the footer, and let's get back here. Okay, so we have done with the very first div. Let's look at the second div where we have all this. This is the part where I am actually amazing to look at the animations, everything in here. Now let's have our second div. So we can see this is the first div. I'm just going to come here and just say another div, and then in this div we're going to have our heading here. As you can see, the heading neatly written here. Okay, so we're going to use the word an h2 with a class of heading tertiary, here, and then what I was doing. So let's just say follow us on social media. All right, let me end this. Let's go under it, and then the next we're going to see this. We're going to use the same thing as the very first. I'm going to use an ordered list for this. So let me just say a UL, okay, with a class of probably, let me just call this class social list. Now I'll call this one contact list. And have an LI in here, and my LI I'm going to have I'm going to have the icon here followed by what? The span, when I'm going to put in this thing here. So I'm going to have an I, just like the font awesome. It's a class of what? FA, and the second one is what? FA phone. Don't worry guys, just like the very font awesome we used at the beginning. So this followed by maybe a span tag, and I'm going to have the number there. So plus 233 241. That's my number. You can call me 241 105, and then 423. All right, save it. Look at what we have. As you can see, it's already showing them. I'm going to copy this one down 3 times. So hold Alt Shift 1 1, and the second one is not going to be phone. It's going to be envelope. The second one is going to be house. Is it house or home? I think it's home. All right. And let's save that. Let's go to this part which says that what follow us on what social media. I'm going to copy this, Control C, and come down here. That's Control V, paste it, and then I'm going to have the same. I'm going to have a UL as usual with a class of social list, and then an LI, okay, followed by an anchor tag. Is again, this time it's a link, so I'm going to have an anchor tag with an href going nowhere as of now, and then I'm going to have the next thing, that's what my icon in it. I'm going to have an icon for awesome icon, the same thing, this is ms.fa Facebook. As you can see, as I'm typing, the ms abbreviation is already showing what's going to happen. So an I with a class of what FA, and then what an FA Facebook. And let's save that, and I'm going to have 3 more of this. So just hold this, Control C, down, and then we're going to have Instagram, then we're going to have Twitter, and let's save that. So that's probably for the second column. As you can see, we have everything done here. Let's add the very last thing, that's the form. The last form you can see at the bottom here. So this is going to be what? A new div. After this div, we're going to have what? A div again. You guys must be wondering why all these plenty divs. So this is a one for this one, this is the container, and this is the wrapper, and then this is it. So it's okay. This is HTML for you. So we're going to have again section tertiary. That's Control C, copy all of this. I didn't mean for that. Control C, Control V, and then I'm going to say send us a message. Send us a message. All right, end it. And then I'm going to have what? A form, action going nowhere. And then in the form, I'm going to have what? 3. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first thing I'm going to have is an input. An input with a type of. Let me see. This is what? Just pure text. All right. And I'm going to say it's required. And finally, I'm going to give it a placeholder of full name, as you can see in there. Full name, and then let me just close it. So input is one of those people that has that don't have what a closing tag. All right. So I'm going to copy this one down again. That's hold Alt Shift and then what down, and I'm going to have the type here to what email, followed by the placeholder going to also be what email address. All right, and finally I'm going to have my text area. Why do I keep doing this? I'm going to have my text area. VS Code is so adapted for web design. They know that's what I'm going to use for web development and everything. So there are a lot of things in there to help. So if I just type text area, it's automatically giving me what this. Just hit enter and it comes. And then the name, I'm going to give this name as what? Message. And then it gives me an ID of also make just a message. I don't even need all of that. Let me just take all that off. Probably you need it later, but not in this. Okay, let me leave it there. An ID of message, and then finally I'm going to say required, and a placeholder of also message. Save that, let me just say end. And finally my submit button, I'm going to just say input and the type of what submit. After you've already seen earlier, we have to give it what a value of what send, and then save. All right guys, let me check out what we have here. So basically that's all that, except one more thing. If you hit this one, you see they don't go anywhere. So that's why we gave all those classes to their various things. So if you come to the section contact, we have what an ID of what contact here. If you come to section newsletter, we have what an ID of what newsletter. If you come to section offer, we have an ID of what offer, and then probably the same for the what home, where we have what an ID of about. And so if we go to the very basic at the beginning here, you can see we only have what an hashtag here. That's an hashtag, a hashtag here, or a pound sign here. So if I just say home and then about and then newsletter and then contact, this contact, no, whatever happened here. And I should see it right now. If I just click about, oh, nothing is happening. Let me see. Contact. Okay, it took us to our contact page here, as you can see. All right, if I should go back to the very home again and click on subscribe, I think it's happening. Probably there's some, I didn't use the right things in there. I have an ID of offer. So why is it not working? An ID. Okay, so I'm actually linking it to the wrong place. Let me see. Section home, this about. Yes, we didn't give what an ID here, and that's probably why it's not working. So I just say about. Save that one right now. Now if you click here, it took me to the about page. Are you seeing, guys? So that's why I was actually not leaving those ones in there. So we're just going to do that for all. Let me come to the very bottom here, the footer at the beginning here. So this home, this about, this subscribe, and then this contact. Save it. If I should come somewhere, where is it? If I should go to contact, took me to my contact page. As you can see, home took me back to my home page. My home page, if I just say go to back to contact, took me back to my contact. Alright guys, that's all for the HTML needed to code this wonderful website here. We have everything, and that's the thing about HTML. It's ugly. Trust me, it's very ugly without what CSS. You're no longer in the 1990s or the early 2000s. You're in the 21st century, and then probably late 21st century. So we need to make our website look great, and that's what's going to be happening in the next video. We're going to use CSS to style our very home page, like this one here. Our home page, about page. We're going to style our home page, our about page, and then our offer page. And then the subsequent video, we're going to style our newsletter as well as our footer. And then in the next video, we're going to look at how we can do our responsive navigation, so that when we click here, this happens, and when we go to the bigger view, this also happens. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking to the very end. If you got value out of this video, please do also hit the like button. If you think you want to keep learning and you're a lifelong learner like me, please hit the subscribe button so that I don't miss out on the good videos I bring out this and every Wednesday. And with that much ado guys, I'm going to catch you in the next video.